Hi guys, I'm Sifu Adalik, Master Instructor at Kung Fu at Home, and today I want to help you with your conditioning. Since conditioning your bones and your knuckles is important in Kung Fu, but the theory behind proper conditioning actually has a much deeper lesson to teach us about Kung Fu and life. So, I'm going to be giving you some examples of that because um, it will not only be useful for your martial arts training, but it will be useful for all aspects of self-cultivation. So you can make sure that you are continually training yourself to be better every day in every way. Right? So, by the way, if you are interested in learning Kung Fu but you can't find a great school near you, then check out my online program at the link below, which I'm going to put in the comments section once I'm done here, and it'll give you a free week of online training in Kung Fu fundamentals. Let me just bring this up here so I can see any comments that you guys are putting in. Okay, there we go. So when it comes to kung fu and self-defense, we all know that we have to be properly conditioned in order to make contact, in order to strike or to block. But the big question is, how much is too much, right? And to answer this, you have to break your conditioning into two different categories, into what we call a soft style approach and then a hard style approach. One focusing on quick results and shortcuts, and the other focusing on long-term health development and longevity. So I've got a story to share with you about that. Before I do, I did want to remind you that if you want to learn Kung Fu, but you're not in an area and you like more great tips delivered to you weekly, and you don't have a great school nearby, then check out my online training by clicking the link in the comments section, which I'm going to post there in a minute, and you can get a free online course to train Kung Fu at home. So my story is, before I started teaching Kung Fu full-time professionally, I had a real job in an office, and there was this guy there that used to train. At the same time, he was training, no, he wasn't training at that time, but he would tell me about when he used to train hard-style karate, right? And the key wording there is he used to, right? He told me about how, he was telling me about how he used to toughen up his, knuckles and his arms and his shins in a really hardcore way, of course, and now he couldn't do that anymore because all of these injuries that he had, and he had arthritis, and his knuckles were all kind of warped, and they would make weird popping noises. So he couldn't really train anymore. He wasn't able to do it. At the time, this was really cool for him back when he used to do it because he was young and he wanted to be invincible. But unfortunately, now that he's in his early 50s, he was no longer able to do that kind of training, and because it took its toll on his body. He wasn't able to train at all anymore. So now instead of training regularly, he didn't have that ability. What he had now was he just basically had stories to tell. And I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to have stories to tell. I want you to have the ability to train over a long period of time, right? Basically is for as long as you can breathe. Now, that kind of long-term training, if it's something you want to make a lifestyle of, you need to be thinking ahead with proper training, patience, and you have to have a greater understanding of what you're doing instead of just smashing your knuckles and your arms against hard surfaces to toughen them up, right? So there's a proven methodology behind that. By the way, if you do want to learn more useful tips like this, more skill development in Kung Fu, and more training material like this, you may want to check out my ongoing online program, kungfuathome.com. You can get a free week course to try out for free just by clicking the link I'm going to put below in the comment section, right? But my point is, if you choose to take those shortcuts and just smash your bones against rocks and wood, you will callous the skin, right? The skin will be really tough, and you will kill the nerves, but you won't necessarily have good conditioning. Good conditioning is built up slowly over long periods of time and through many repetitions. And done properly, this will lead to an increase in bone density. Instead of just warping the skin and deadening the nerves. You see, this is being done properly. You'll see this being done properly when you watch a lot of Northern Kung Fu practitioners, and that's one of the reasons I always liked Northern Kung Fu, was because it had the conditioning kind of built into the system. So when they do their forms, you see them make contact, all the time. During the forms. And the reason they're doing that, they're not doing that to basically make sound effects. That's not what it's for. They're doing it to gradually build conditioning through repetitive motion and through repetitive light contact over a greater amount of time, right? And that over a long period of time will increase bone density combined with that movement. We call this soft style conditioning, right? Because it's not supposed to be painful, and it's less dramatic. It doesn't make for a great montage like kicking down a tree does, but it works far better, and it won't wear down the body. The principle, when you take this principle, you can apply it to everything. When you want to get into shape, we often want the results right now. So we try to make very dramatic changes because we don't have the patience to set up a long-term program. Right? In some cases, this is okay, but if we only take on that new activity for a month or two and then we quit, well, then that's useless, right? We need to start working on positive habits, little habits over a long period of time, and this will bring us lasting success. So you got to take your habits, and when you think about that, you got to take your habits and you need to you have to manage them, right? And if they're you manage them because you're going to be stuck with them for a long time, right? So manage them and ask yourself, are these habits serving me? Are they serving me? And if they're not serving you, then you need to gradually phase them out. And if they are serving you, then you can gradually build them in and do them more and more. But you got to think of it in terms of habit, right? What habits are going to serve you over a long period of time? So anyway, if you have any questions at all, if you're on here, type them in now, because I've noticed that this thing has a little bit of a 15 to 20 second lag on it. So if you ask about now, I'll see it before I log off, but I'm going to wrap up. But I did want you to think about that, right? When you're conditioning, go for the long road, the patient road of building up conditioning over a long period of time, and don't take the shortcuts. If you want to be trained today, so you can train tomorrow. And if you want to train today, if you want to train 20 years from now, just like you're training today, then you got to factor those things in, right? And don't forget, if you do want to learn more about Kung Fu lifestyle and philosophy and different techniques, but you're not in an area where there's a great school nearby, then click on the link I'm going to put in the comments section, and you can check out my free online course for distance learning. There's a free week of online training there. You can check that out. But otherwise, guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.